Hello everybody and welcome to another React tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how we can delete items from our inventory system. So we've learned how to add them, we've learned how to view them, we've learned how to filter them, and now we need to know how to delete them. So that's what this video is going to do. Now this will actually be the last video in this series. I feel like this is a really good place to stop because this has covered all of the fundamental stuff in React. There was a few other more advanced things that I was going to cover, but I don't think that they necessarily fit with the title of this series, which is a beginner React series. And so I will probably cover those in something like an intermediate or advanced series in the future. Let me know if you guys want to see more React content. If you guys leave comments and tell me that you want to see it, then I'll most likely make a series on it. Now, that said, if you guys are itching for more React content, specifically from me, I do have another series called React Full Stack Web Application with Django Backend. I've definitely butchered the name, but essentially that is a more advanced kind of project tutorial where we actually walk through and apply all of this stuff. So rather than just doing a bunch of theory, which we've kind of done here and looking at simple examples, we're actually applying this to a large application. And well, you guys can watch the first video of that series to see if that's of interest to you. Regardless, let's dive into this video here and let's look at how we can delete items. So all I want to do here is just add some delete buttons beside this brand. And then when you press the delete button, obviously we want to delete the entry. So we'll need to delete it from the front end, and then we'll need to send a request to delete it from the back end as well. So let's go to items display and let's just create a button. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make another column here. So I'm going to say th scope is equal to call, and this will just say delete. And then we will have the end of our th of the header. So that means for every single one of our items here, we also need to have a button. So what I'm going to do is put a button inside of td. So I'm going to say button, and then I'll say the class name is equal to btn danger. This is going to be a red button. And then I will end the button and I will say delete. Okay, pretty straightforward. Let's have a look here. And now you can see we have our delete buttons. So pretty simple to add that. Now what we need to do is add an on click to these buttons, and clearly in this on click, we need to actually delete the item. So we're going to say on click is equal to, and then we're going to have an empty arrow function for now, but in a minute, we'll actually fill this in with the function that we want to call. Okay, so now we've kind of done most of what we need to do in items display. Let's go to app.js because this is where we're actually storing all of our data, right? Let me move this down. Okay, so inside of here, we have our data. And so we need to define something inside of here, just like add item to data, that will allow us to delete an item. And then we want to pass that function in the props to items display such that it can call it to delete an item when we press that button. So it doesn't really matter where we define this, but what I'm going to do is say const, and I'll say delete item, and then this is going to take in an item. So this will be an arrow function. So delete item is equal to an arrow function. And inside of here, what we need to do is send a request to delete the item. However, the first thing I'm going to do is say const items is equal to, and then this will be data at the key items. Again, we probably should just store an array rather than this object, but we've already used the object for all the series, or for all of the videos so far. So we might as well just keep it right now. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to send a request, specifically a delete request to delete the item. So I'm going to start by defining my request options because I need to define the method. I'm going to say request options is equal to, and then inside of here, the only thing I need to define is the method of my request, which in this case will be delete. Now, I don't need any headers. I don't need any body. The reason is because I'm not sending any data with this request. I'm simply going to send a delete request, and then the ID of the object I want to delete, I will actually include in the URL that I send the request to. So you'll see in a second, but now what I'm going to do is use fetch. And I'm actually going to use backticks here. So these are not quotation marks. They're backticks. Again, that shares the same key as the tilde. It's above the tab key, underneath the escape key, left side of your keyboard. And I'm going to say http://localhost: port 3000. That's the port that our JSON server is running on, /items. This is the resource I want to access. And what is the ID of the item that I want to delete? Well, what I need to do is put / and then the ID of the item. So if I want to delete item 2, I would put 2, otherwise 3, otherwise 4. But in this case, what is the ID? Well, the ID is the ID of whatever item was passed to us. So what I'm going to do is put a $sign. I'm going to put an open and closing parenthesis or parenthesis bracket. I always mess those up. You know what I mean? We have our curly braces right here. And what this allows us to do when you use backticks is to actually embed expressions right inside of a string. So since we have backticks here, and I'll show you, if I change this to just normal quotation marks, this doesn't work the same way. So if we do quotation, notice it doesn't highlight. But if I make this backticks, then this does highlight the way that we want. And anyways, the point of this is so now I can do something like this, item.id. Now, this is not a string, right? But this is going to be evaluated. So this will be whatever the ID actually is, and then automatically converted into a string and embedded right inside of this expression here. So we'll have HTTP localhost :3000/items/ and then whatever the ID here is will just be placed in. So if it was ID 2, it would just be placed in like that. 4 placed in, whatever. And you could even do something like item.id +1, and that would be totally valid. It would just evaluate this, turn it into a string, and then place it there. So we will continue in 1 second, but I need to quickly thank the sponsor of this video and this series, which is AlgoExpert. AlgoExpert is the best platform to use when preparing for your software engineering coding interviews. They have over 160 coding interview questions on the platform. Each question has a detailed conceptual overview and code walkthrough that is taught by the best instructors, one of which is me. Check out AlgoExpert from the link in the description and use the code TechWithTim for a discount on the platform. Okay, hopefully that's clear, but that's what we need for fetch. Then the next thing we're going to pass here is our request options, and that's all we need to do to delete something. Now, of course, we do want to check for a response, so we're going to say response like that, and what we will do is we will check the response when we get it. Now, rather than getting the data associated with this response, so rather than returning, response.json or something and then having another dot then and looking at the data, we don't really want to do that because this response isn't going to give us any data. It's not going to return anything to us. All we actually want to do here is we want to check if this request that we sent was successful. So we will get a response back that has a status code on it, and we want to check if this status code is okay. If the status code is okay, that means we deleted the item successfully. If it's not okay, that means the item was not deleted. So I'm going to say if response.okay. So I'm just checking if the response was okay. If it is okay here, then what I'm going to do is delete this item from the front end. So again, I want to make sure I'm not deleting something from the front end if we didn't delete it from the back end, because then we're going to have an inconsistency. So to delete the item, what I need to do is first find the index of it. So I'm going to say const idx is equal to items dot, and then this is going to be index of item and not dot ID, just item. So this is going to look in my items array and find the index of the item that was passed to me. And the reason I need that is because I'm going to use that index to delete the item. So now I'm going to say items.splice. I'm going to pass items, and then I'm going to pass the index of the item I want to delete. In this case, what I want to delete is, actually, sorry. I don't think I need to do that. I think I just do items.splice. And yeah, start, this is going to be idx. Okay, so I believe that's all I need to do. I think maybe it's idx1. I haven't used splice in a while. Let's see what it's saying here. Removes element from an array, and if necessary, inserts new element in their place, returning the delete items. Start the zero-base location in the array for which to start removing the elements, the number of items to remove. Okay, perfect. So we will do idx1. So items.splice. We're removing whatever item is at this index, and we're just going to remove one item. Perfect. Okay, so we remove that. And now that we've removed that, we can set our data. So we're going to say set data, and then items like that. Perfect. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to use this function, right? So to use this function, we need to pass it through the props to our items display. So we are going to say delete item is equal to, and then delete item like that. Perfect. Now we're going to go to items display. And what I'm actually going to do is deconstruct the props here. So I'm going to say items and delete item like that. And then that means wherever I use props, I have to change this. So down here, rather than props.items, I'll just say items, because now I'm accessing items directly. And now in the onClick, what I'm going to do is call delete item, but I'm going to pass my item. So why is this not working? I think that's good. Okay, now that's good. So again, all we're going to do is just have an arrow function that calls delete item, and we pass the item. That means we're going to call this function right here, which is going to get our items, send a delete request to delete the item with whatever ID that was, and then we're going to check if the response is okay, meaning we actually did delete the item. If we did, then we will delete the item from the front end. Nice. So let's see if this is going to work. I'm just going to refresh this here. I'm going to delete item 6, and notice it deletes. Okay, now let's delete item 2. Notice that deletes. Perfect. So let's add an item now. Let's just go Tim, price, $3.99. You guys can see I'm very creative with my items here. This will be type person, brand will be great. Add item, and now we add an item, and notice its ID is going to start at 6 because the last ID that we had was 5. Okay, so now if I delete this one, all is good, and if we go look in db.json, we can see that whatever we have in db.json is what is showing up here in our front end. Okay, so with that said, that is actually going to conclude this video and this tutorial series. I know that this was not the most exciting example in the world that we worked on here, but I just wanted to show you the fundamentals of React and show you how you can build an application relatively easily. Once you understand things like callbacks and passing through functions through props, you have a lot of options when it comes to building React user interfaces. And personally, even if I'm working on a small hobby project, a lot of times I like to just use React because in my opinion, it's a lot simpler than trying to write my own JavaScript, access DOM elements. I just kind of like the way that React is laid out, and it feels pretty intuitive to me and kind of easy to work with. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I would love to hear your feedback on it in the comments. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, I will see you in another YouTube video.